Good, beautiful morning, everybody, and welcome to the Monday edition, Monday or Friday edition of Shortcuts for Your Soul. A couple of wonderful nights here. If you hear any crying in the background, it's simply our grandson who's going to be with us for the next couple of days, a newborn. And I've been very contemplating, what new life is all about. And today the Ascended came in and they said they want to talk about the truth about you are real. You are real. And it's really important when you look at a newborn child. Our grandson is just over 7 weeks old. And there's no articulation, ability to speak in words. There's very little and limited physical movement. He's still beginning to move his arms and legs, and he's not even aware of his arms and legs yet. And it really showcases the truth that when you come into this world, you are completely and totally innocent. You're completely and totally in peace. You're completely and totally free. You don't have an identity. You don't know who you are, but you're real. I can look at that wonderful little being and know, and any one of you can do this. Look at a newborn child. It's a living, sentient being. It has not focused itself. It's still coming out of the other lifetime that it was in. It's coming into this lifetime. So there's a process of articulation that has to happen as you adjust from going back into the divine and coming back into matter, time, and space, where you literally come into a new identity. And that identity has to be learned. Like you've learned to believe that you are who you are. Let's see some of the people that we have here today. We have hi, Amanda. So Amanda's come to believe that she is Amanda. That is what she's come to believe. But before Amanda was Amanda, who was she? Before you were who you think you are, who were you? Who else has just joined here? Hello, Samti. So at that moment of birth, and those first few months after being born into this physical world, that you is the real you. Unprogrammed, unconditioned. You are just pure spirit, pure awareness, pure being in flesh. But you don't know that you're a pure being, because what happens after you're born is the environment bombards you with sensations, sight, sound, touches, taste, and smell. Things have been well documented psychologically and psychoanalytically. These things have been well documented. A child gets conditioned by the environment to think, feel, and believe in a certain way. But that is not the real you. That is the you that gets conditioned or structured by the environment. And after a few months and a few years, the child begins to articulate, interacting with the environment, learns to understand its hands, its feet. The child begins to interact with the environment, mimicking and copying what it sees around it. But it's just doing this in order to adapt to the environment. That soul has to adapt to this environment in order to survive. Now, that process of building the personality up takes about 12 years. About 12 years, you create a pretty solid foundation for an identity called the personality, the name you've been given. Whatever your name is right now, Lisa or Bridget, Catherine, it doesn't matter what your name is, Jonathan, Michael, whatever your name is, that is the identity that the environment has taught you to have. It's taught you, the divine spirit, to be individualized as this personality that you see before you, or you look at in the mirror every morning. When you look in the mirror and you look there, that's the personality you're seeing. That's the body. It's not who you are. It's an instrument that you have. How then do you get back to the essence of who you truly are, this limitless, omnipresent, omnipotent consciousness that needs or wants for nothing because it is everything? We come into this individualized identity, and then we have needs and wants, mostly based on sensations. But how is it then a newborn child comes in with the only needs are of the body? So who is the real you? This is what we wanted to communicate to you today, to get you to consider the real you. Not the structured personality that's been fabricated by your environment, but the you that is behind that, the watcher, the observer, the awareness, the spirit, the soul, call it what you will. There is an aspect of your being that is not affected by this world, but able to affect the world through an act of will. As you begin to evaluate the fact that you can observe your thoughts, you can observe your sensations, you can observe your emotion, you can observe your memories, all in the structure of your personality. Think about this, that you can observe your thoughts, you can observe emotions, you can experience and observe sensations. The body feels hot or the body feels cold. And you've been taught those concepts because hot and cold are just concepts. But you, the real you, is able to observe these fascinating manifestations of experiential consciousness. You're able to observe thoughts, memories, emotions. You're even to consider futures that don't exist. You are able to do this. You're able to observe, I'm thinking about this new possibility for my life, this you that is real. But most of the time you spend identifying yourself as what you're observing. Many of you identify yourself as what you are observing. The sensations, I feel this hot, I feel this cold. I'm thinking about my grandmother or my grandfather. I'm thinking about this. And you observe these things and you think that you are these things. So getting to the real you moves you into a position where you can end your subjectivity to your personality. That is, the emotions that might be troubling you right now, anger, fear, guilt, and shame, which you are aware of. I feel very bad, you say, but how is it you are observing that you are feeling bad? You can identify with the bad feeling and say, I feel bad, or you can observe that there is a bad feeling. In the process where you go into observing the feeling, you shift out of the identification of the structured personality into the, well, let's just say the divine or observational perspective that allows you to say, oh, there is anger, there is fear, there is guilt, there is shame. I'm aware of these things. And in your position of awareness, we would ask you to consider this possibility. From the perspective of awareness, what can you observe about yourself as awareness? We would ask you to consider this. If you do not identify with your emotions and your sensations, but you are aware that you are aware of them, and you question, what is this awareness that I am? Something begins to happen. You begin to shift your perceptual apparatus away from matter and personality into being, which of course works through the physical dimension. However, that position of awareness is different than being the body, that I feel hungry or I feel sad or I feel what you feel. This position of observational awareness allows you to step out of the personality into what we would begin to define as the real you. Now, there's something that happens to an individual that begins to observe themselves as the observer. If you observe yourself as the observer, something very interesting begins to happen, not only to how you perceive yourself, but something very interesting begins to happen in your body and in your mind. And the only way to understand what we're speaking of is to experience it. And we would suggest to you right now to take a moment to simply observe that you have thoughts, you have memories, you have emotions, you have expectations. You are aware of them as if you could hold them before you. And this aspect of you that is able to observe your memories, your thoughts, your emotions, consider your future expectations, this you that can observe all that, we would suggest you to reflect on it. to turn your attention to this aspect of yourself that is aware that it is aware. Now, we said some things will begin to happen in your body and in your mind when you begin to do this. When you pull your attention away from the mind and body and begin to reflect upon yourself as the awareness, your body begins to relax. It's almost like you're pulling your attention away from memory, thoughts, emotions, expectations, desires, wants, needs. As you pull your attention away from them, the energy of your being changes. In turn, the body not only begins to relax, but its vibrational frequency begins to change because the structure of the body is no longer impeded. That is, you're no longer feeding or supplying fear, anger, guilt, shame, doubt, sadness, all those emotions. You're not identifying with them because you're observing yourself as the observer. In that position, those functions of thought no longer have your energy to exist for that period of time. In being aware that you are aware, and we hope that you are doing this, choosing to be aware that you are simply aware. You are not the thoughts. You are not the memories. You're not the emotions. You have them, but you are not them. You are the awareness that is aware of them. And as you become more aware of being aware, the function of thought begins to slow down because you're no longer giving it your energy. As your thoughts begin to slow down, as the attention on memory and anticipation on sensation, as you pull your attention away from tensions in the body, emotions in the mind, thoughts in the mind, memories in the mind, expectations in the mind, as you pull your awareness away from them, the body, you will notice, will begin to shift in its vibration. For those of you that are able to do this, that are able to pull your attention away from your thoughts, your memories, your emotions, you'll begin to feel the body's vibration starts to change. Often it starts as tingling sensations in the extremities, the hands and the feet, that become unburdened by the constant neurological assertion of thought and sensation and emotion that normally goes on. And so as you focus on simply being aware that you are aware, the function of thought begins to diminish in the body. You'll begin to feel a tingling sensation in your extremities. And if you stay consistent in not indulging in thoughts or memories or expectations, but simply pay attention to what's happening to the body as you keep your attention off thoughts, memories, and emotions. Thank you for that. You'll begin to feel the vibrational state in your physical body change. It shifts from the impediments of emotion, memory, and thought to the vibration that is actually you. You are a high vibrational frequency, a soul, a spiritual entity, an extension of infinite eternal consciousness that is individualized into that form and is able to hear these words coming through to you from this physical form here. But you are not the physical form. The physical form is articulating the information that's being transmitted through it, whether it comes through the mind, the emotions, the memories, or the other realms of consciousness that you can exist on and explore. As you begin to keep your attention away from thought and emotion and memory, as you keep your awareness focused upon simply being aware, the vibrational state of the body will become more enhanced. You might even find yourself being enticed by the sensations of the body relaxing and its vibration increasing as you diminish the function of thought, memory, and emotion by pulling your attention away from them and simply becoming aware that you are aware. In becoming aware that you are aware, you can observe the body's vibration change. A very similar function begins to happen in the space of your anatomy called the brain, where the function of thought, as it is reduced, that the synaptic firing begins to diminish, and there is not a segmented form of operation in the brain. You're simply aware, and the system begins to become quieter, calmer, and more peaceful. And you can observe that the mind begins to vibrationally change as well. You might find yourself as the mind begins to diminish in thought, expectation, emotion, simply by your being aware that you are aware. As the mind diminishes in its function of thought, you'll begin to feel a more heightened sense of well-being, as you're no longer, as awareness, being bombarded by the incessant process of thought, which the environment taught you to have. Because you were not born with those thoughts that you have. You're not born with emotions. You were not born with memories in the conventional sense. There are the element of past lives, but that's not the consideration we are evaluating today. You are the real you. Your thoughts, your memories, and emotions, your physiology are constructs of the physical dimension which you inhabit. The real you begins to be experienced as a most wondrous thing. You begin to experience yourself as peace, as calm, as joy, as bliss, as wonderful things. That is what you really are. Thank you. It is what you really are. The constructed self can be altered and changed by either the environment or yourself in the position of evaluating thoughts and memories and emotions and asserting your capacity to induce changes into the system in the exact same way the environment conditioned you to become a personality. You can then assume the authority and role over your mind and body that you allowed the environment to have. That you think, feel, and believe a certain way is mostly because of how the environment has influenced you. And if you can step out of the influence of the environmental conditioning, then you can begin the process of redefining your mind, your emotions, and your biology according to your will. This can only be done from the perspective of who you truly are as a spiritual entity. You are a divine entity that is come into a physical dimension. You have the authority and the capacity to alter and change thoughts, memories, and emotions as an act of your will, as equally as the environment asserted its will upon you to condition you to believe that you are Amanda, or you are Lee, or you are Drusilla, or you are Danielle, or you are Michael, or you are Peter. The environment asserted its will upon you to condition you into believing and being something that it conditioned you to believe and be you're supposed to behave as. But in this process of learning to differentiate yourself from your thoughts, your memories, and emotions, you move into the position where you can begin to actually create the personality that you want to create. Become the being you would choose as an act of your own free will, instead of remaining dependent upon the environment to create the conditions in your mind, in your feelings, and in your body that you yourself believe that you cannot. But we can assure you that from the perspective of the real you, you can add, subtract, edit, delete, change thoughts, alter past timelines, alter the influence of memories upon your consciousness, change and alter the frequency of emotional energy, change and alter the functional nature of your physiology so that you could train your body to do wonderful things like walk upon a bed of hot burning coals and not be burned, or to submerge yourself in extremely cold water and not freeze. You can assert your will over the body in the same fashion the environment conditioned you. You may recondition your mind and your body and your emotional energy in a whole new way once you have learned to distinguish yourself from the structure of personality that the environment has made you into believing that you are. Because you've been made to believe that you are who you say you are, whether it is you say you are William, or you are Peter, or you are June. You can differentiate from that and recreate a new identity for yourself as an act of your own free will. That will not change certain fundamental realities about your physiology. Your physiology is what it is. It is the vehicle that was constructed on your behalf so that you would have something to experience this physical dimension in and through. What we're speaking of is getting to the position where the real you, the soul, the divine entity, the spark of the oneness, if we may use that term, can then begin to articulate deliberate, conscious acts of creation, of wonder and imagination based on your conceptions and not the conceptions you're limited to by what you've been taught to think or feel or believe by the environment. And while we would say to you right now, even what we would speak to you through this form, that these are forms of information that can condition you equally, we would still say that you have the ability at any time to differentiate from anything you hear, smell, touch, taste, or believe and alter it as an act of your own free will. Some of you might believe that it is too difficult to make functional changes in your consciousness, and we would say to you that is absolutely not true, though there is a level of difficulty in terms of your attachment to a belief, that you've been conditioned to believe this so deeply that you have to learn to differentiate yourself from it more intently. You have to become more deliberate that you are not your thoughts, you are not your emotions, you are not that body. You have thoughts, you have emotions, you have a body, and these are under your governance to direct and articulate their expression according to your will, your belief. However, many of you believe what you've been taught to believe, and so you might not have difficulty accepting what we're saying because you believe you are who you've been taught to be by the environment. The real you is able to separate itself from subjectivity to thoughts, memories, emotions, expectations, to no longer be dictated to by the environment exclusively, but to simultaneously be open to the knowledge and wisdom that is available in this physical dimension that may allow you to elevate yourself up out of difficult structures of personality. Such conditions as depression, anxiety, these are energetic manifestations that you, when you learn to distinguish yourself from the experience versus the experiencer which you are, that you can alter and change the function of emotional conditions very rapidly in your mind, and indeed those emotions will change and affect how you experience your physical dimension. But getting to this place of remembering the real you, the real you, the you that is separate and distinct from thoughts, the real you that is separate and distinct from the emotions, the real you that is separate and distinct from physiology, but able to operate all three of these dimensional levels, thought, emotion, and matter, come under the dominion of your authority when you learn to reclaim it. As we've said before, the vast majority of human beings believe they are the body, they are the thoughts, they are the memories, they are the emotions. They believe that that's what they are. And so they will function and go through life experiencing the conditions of those thoughts, those memories, those beliefs. At any point you choose to move into this observational position we spoke of earlier, where you can observe the thoughts, observe the emotions, observe the memories, observe the body, and then ask the question, who am I observing? Become reacquainted with the real you that is the divine entity that it is in that wonderful physical form, hearing these words right now. To remember this, to remember that you are the real you. You are not your mind, you are not your body, you are not your emotions. You have a mind, you have a body, you have emotions, but they're instruments that you need to learn to use rather than simply go through life under the dictates of the conditioning that's been imposed upon you by the environment to tell you to believe that you are this way, you think this way, you feel this way, this is how you should be. That you can articulate your own function of being as an act of your own free will. And there are certainly levels and realms of logic and reason, intuition, time, space, and matter. There are laws that govern the function of matter. There are laws that govern the function of mind. There are laws that govern the function of emotional energy that are fairly easy to apply once understood. But understand that the real you is the only facet of your personality, of your consciousness, that can deliberately affect change in your mind and body, unless you so wish to defer to the environment, as so many tens of millions have done, have deferred to the environment to be the source of what you will think and what you will feel and what you will believe. And we would say to you that while we present information to you through this forum, that the same position holds true, that we're offering you suggestions and ideas that can influence or assert a change in life. We would still say to you, evaluate what you hear. You get to define and decide at the moment you begin to, is this true? Is this not true? You get to define then your function of experiential being in this dimension. But you must awaken to do that. Everything in this world can influence you in very specific and precise ways, but more importantly, you have the capacity to assert and influence this environment in ways that are far, far beyond what most human beings understand, that you can influence this physical dimension in very profound and remarkable ways as an act of your own free will, if that is what you would choose to do. It is why you have very powerful and not so powerful, why you have those that have more and others that have less. The function of creation is understood differently by others. And your environment may have conditioned you to be very, very, very good at what you do, and your environment may have conditioned you to be very, very bad at what you do. And the moment you begin to question where your thoughts, your memories, and your behaviors originated, you can then begin to affect changes in your own mind and body, and no longer be completely or wholly dependent upon the environment to assist you in restructuring the nature and quality of your being. As many of you do, you look for pills, you look for drugs, you look for therapists, you look for things outside of yourself to try and teach you to be different than the way you've been taught to be, in order to feel better than what you do. And we would say to you, yes, you may find sources in this world that can inspire you and provide you with very healthy concepts and ideas that can assist you in elevating your experience and create a process here. Yet we would say transcendent to that is your capacity to awaken to the real you, the you that can, as an act of your own free, dismiss a thought that no longer serves you, manifest a thought that does, to relinquish your subjectivity to the constructed personality that the environment has provided for you. And this is what we came to say to you, that only the real you can make the significant changes that you would totally find great delight, peace, and joy in. That you are a divine soul, an entity here in time, space, and matter, to learn the act and practice of creation. Thank you. I love that. Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Good morning, TikTok. Good morning. Thank you. I have been hiding from my ghost. Hi. You don't have to hide from anything. There's nothing to fear unless you believe there's something to fear. Hi. Yeah, we're into the Q&A segment of our communication day. Hello from Greece. It's great to live as always. Hello there, psychic medium Narain. Good to see you. Welcome to the show today. Hello, Matthew. That's my grandson's name. I'm making some big changes this next month to align with my highest calling. Any advice or message? Yeah, make time, at least 20 minutes every single day, just to put your mind and body into a state of stillness. But simply by the act of getting your mind and body to be still and quiet, which you can do, even the most difficult emotions can be brought to a state of stillness very, very quickly. But for you, Matthew, because you're well on the pathway, spend at least 20 minutes just getting the mind and body quiet, calm, and peaceful, and then experience yourself as you are without reflecting upon thoughts and memories and emotions. Because what most people do their whole lives is they reflect constantly on what they've been taught to think, feel, and believe, and they rarely change it. But by getting your mind and body into a place where they're quiet, calm, and peaceful for that 20 minutes, you begin to gain functional experience with knowing that you are not your body, you are not your mind. They are your servants, not your masters. That is what we would advise to you, to become very familiar with, that your mind, your emotions, and your body are your servants, instruments that you can use in the function of creation in this physical dimension. Wow. Hello there. Someone's saying maybe when we come here, we are aware of life's many challenges upon arrival. No, we're not. We come in as pure consciousness, pure undifferentiated consciousness. We come into the flesh pure, whole, and perfect. That's how we come into this dimension. We might bring karma with us from other lifetimes, but that doesn't usually kick in until around 13, 14 years of age, when karma starts to function in our lives. That other past lives can influence us at that point. But for the most part, people get conditioned into being a particular personality by the environment. And if that remains unquestioned, then you go through life believing that you're just who you've been told to be. Right? So yeah. The challenges are mostly given to you by the environment. Hello, Kiki Law. Good to see you. And welcome. Greetings to you too. It's like balancing on a fence. I know who and what I am, but it's not the same thing as embodying the knowing. How do we jump off the fence? This is a great, once you start asserting the actions of creation, that is, you get your mind, you get your body quiet, calm, and peaceful, so they're not disturbing you or distracting you, and then start considering a possibility that you'd like to experience in your life. Consider something you want to experience in your life and go deeply, deeply into that, what that would be like, and then learn to function as a creator. Your mind and body are servants to your consciousness and your emotional energy, that which furnishes the body to produce or act out in certain ways to cause events to happen for you. Emotion organizes matter is the foundational principle. Emotions organize human experiences and alter matter. So you want to really get into using the energy of emotion. Like, use your joy. Like, you can bring in the energy of joy. You can bring in the energy of wonder. You can bring into your mind and body the energy of bliss. You can bring into your mind and body the energy of freedom. They're different than the concepts that you've been taught. Freedom as a concept taught by humans is very different than the being of freedom. Most of what you've been taught is not the same as what it actually is. Freedom, bliss, love, excitement, playfulness, creativity, compassion, excitement, playfulness, all these things. They're energies that can be consciously brought into your mind and body and articulated in a very different way than you've been taught to. Most people think that play is going out to a sports game or a sports bar. Most people think fun is going out and getting drunk and intoxicated. Most people think fun is just eating things whatever they want, whenever they want, without any regard to how it's going to affect them. So a lot of people have been taught that freedom is about being able to do what I want, when I want, how I want, right? That doesn't matter how it affects other people. Freedom is a responsibility. It's not just a concept of how you're going to act. But these elements of human-made concepts are not the same as how they would function from your divine nature, from your creator self. So Drusilla, quite simply, learn to get engaged in the energy of joy. Get engaged in the energy of new possibilities, even if you don't know what that joy is or the new possibilities. If you go into the energy of joy and you go into the energy of new possibilities, it begins to articulate an influence upon the environment. Every human emotion, when you engage in emotion, it affects your nervous system, which affects behavior. So whatever emotion you dominantly sit in, it's what's creating your life and your experience right now. If you're really excited and ambitious, you feel energetic all the time, then you're going to be very energetic and ambitious. Really, the best example one of the best examples in front of humanity right now is Elon Musk, who's passionate about interplanetary life for human beings. Is a really good example. The energy of his passion is what drives and constructs his personality, his thinking, and his actions. Everything he says and does comes from the vibrational energy that he brings into his mind and body from his soul, or if you want, from the universal spirit. And he's done things that nobody has ever done before in this iteration of humanity, because it's the emotional energy that he's embodying that drives the actions. And those emotions are stimulated by his desire to see human beings be an interplanetary species, so that the consciousness of time, space, and matter as humans doesn't cease to exist. So he wants humans to be interplanetary, but that's everything he says and does comes from the energy of his idea. And the energy of his idea is what drives every circumstance. The people he attracts, the things that are failing and succeeding in his life are because of energy. And it's true for everybody. Everybody has the same general principles of creation that someone like Elon Musk or Donald Trump or George Bush or any being on the planet has. Every human being is endowed and born. It's what the founding fathers of the United States, when they said, we have inalienable rights. We are all coming into this world with the same potential, but the environment often conditions you and other people into believing less than what you're capable of doing. And that's what differentiates one person from another, is the belief system that you've been given by the environment. And the moment you can begin to question that belief system or generate a new belief system from an old belief system, so you might be really sad and that my life's not going right, and then you suddenly go into the belief and the feeling of, I can do anything with my life. I can accomplish any dream I want. And then you formulate a dream. So you want to learn how to generate energies that will stimulate actions and events to change in your world. Joy, when you feel it in your heart, will cause energy to emanate from your body, right? When you start doing that, you start changing your world. But most people don't know how to do that. Most people believe what I think and feel is this is who I am. I'm just William. That's all I am. And most people go through life believing that they're only what's in their mind, what they've been taught, what they've been fed by television or radio, and they believe that. And the suffering that goes on the planet is just a belief. The wealth that's on the planet is just a belief. Any condition of any human being on the planet is based in belief. Right? And if you can get a new belief and generate the energy that supports it, you'll create a new life. Hello, Bethany. Good to see you. Bethany's asking, very important, can you tell me what happened to Rick? I need some closure. I'm being told to tell you, let go. Be open to your new life. How can you go forward when you hold on to what is behind you? Open to your new life. Why do you refuse to let go? Open to your new life. Open to your new life. Don't hold on to the old life. Open to your new life, Bethany. Open to your new life. That will give you closure, because it will be a new life. You cannot have closure if you keep thinking about it, because you are holding on to it. How can you have closure if you're still holding on? Open to your new life, dear. Open to it now. Wow. Thank you, Bethany. Great question. Hi. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you. Been hiding from my ghost. Have I released negative emotions from this and past lives from my solar plexus chakra? Thank you. You're in that process still, Iris. You're really close. You're really close to liberating your joy back into the world and into your mind and in your body. You're very close. Remember, the message that was just given to Bethany, you need to learn to let go of the past sometimes. And I don't mean that I mean that in a way that's practical. Like if you've been hurt or harmed by the past, then holding on to your pain from the past does not serve you. You need to learn to embrace new possibilities. And you're on that verge right now, Iris. You're on the edge of that now. Consider a new life. Consider your life renewed. Consider your life renewed, Iris. What would you conceive as a wonderful life for yourself? Give your heart and soul to that instead of your pain and your suffering. Give your life to a new life. Your attention allows the function of your energy to flow in a creative manifestation. Where you put your attention, you are creating experience. So you're very close. Conceive of your new life. Imagine it. Dwell upon it. Live in it in your mind. And you will be free of the past. So yes, I will. So they're telling me to tell everybody, you can let go of past karma very quickly if you learn how to engage in the energy of love, possibility, playfulness, excitement, freedom. These are conceptual energies that when you start to engage them will functionally begin to alter the way your mind thinks and the way your body will act. You can do that. It's a free choice you have. Well, hello, Maria. Good to see you. Good morning. My friend Paul passed away yesterday. It was quite sudden. Does he have any messages for me? I don't know why, but I just got an immediate song saying, skip to the loo, my darling. Yeah, look that song up. That's the only thing that came right clear. Skip to the loo, my darling. Yes. Anything else? There's a great laughter and joy emanating from him through to my heart right now. Great laughter and great joy. I would term it like he was surprised that he did not cease to exist the way he thought he was going to cease to exist, as a lot of humans do when they face physical death. A lot of people think they're going to cease to exist, but there's great joy and laughter in that revelation that he's not ended. Oh, you're very welcome, Jerusalem. Hi. Yeah, children at young ages are able to choose emotions really, really well. Don't worry about what foul play. Just let it go, Bethany. He's on his journey. He's on his journey. You can't go forward if you're holding on to the past. Hi. Hi. I'm just looking at some other questions here. Will I be financially okay in the future? Thanks. You need to become grateful for what finances you are going to have. You need to become grateful for them right now. Like, feel gratitude for your prosperity right now. Feel the energy of gratitude for your prosperity. Like, go deeply, deeply into that. I am grateful for my prosperity. I'm grateful for my wealth. I'm grateful for how I can help and assist others because of my wealth. Go into an energy that will support and sustain the manifestation of what you're seeking. If you're still seeking, that is, what's it going to be like in the future, then you're in doubt. You will create a situation that continues to keep you in that doubt. Go into the gratitude. Be totally grateful. Right now, like, be grateful for that which is not here. Be grateful for it now. For believing you will receive it, right? You need to go deeply into that, Bartman. Deeply into that. I'm not getting, no, he did not leave a will anywhere that I can tune in. I can't tune in anything like that. I don't get that. I'm not getting that, Bethany. No, I'm not getting anything like that. But I do know that something's going to come to you from this that's going to be really beneficial. But remember, make the decision that you're now open to a new life, a new and wondrous life. Like, really get into the excitement of a brand new life is now unfolding for you. And it is. What's happening is because it's part of your creative process. What's happening to all of us is part of our creative process, whether we like it or not. The abuse you went through, the disease, the dysfunction, they are all effects of creation. The prosperity, the happiness, the joy you experience, they're part of your creative process. We are creators. You are a creator. You are a creator. Embrace the new life. Now, good to see you too. Hi, Kristen. Will Selena come to the concert with me to see Alanis Morissette? Again, if you have doubt about it, you've already manifested the outcome. If you change the structure of your question to us into a statement, you will get a very different result. I'm excited she is going to the concert with me. Get excited that she is going, get into the energy. She is going to the concert with me. But if you're saying, will she? You leave space for something different to happen. Pick up your phone and call her and say, I would love for you to come to this concert with me. We'll have a great time. You call her and say those words. Call her and say those words just like that. Like you're very excited, because it is true. You would be excited. Wonderful. Thank you so much. I appreciate the likes, the follows, the subscriptions. Thank you so much. Hi. Now I have a wonderful 7-week-old grandson here, and my daughter and her husband are with us, and I want to enjoy their time because it's precious, especially at this early stage. I want to wish you all much love, and I hope you come back and listen to the replay of this. Go to my YouTube channel if you want to do that. If you're interested in knowing how to connect to your guides, your angels, ascended masters, your loved ones, other multidimensional beings, go to my website, williammichaelforbes.com, and check out our masterclass series. October 10th is the beginning of our new series of masterclasses for the fall season of this year. And it's Masterclass 101, Awakening. And awaken you shall. I want to wish you all much love. Have a great day, everybody. Take good care. Bye for now. And remember, like, subscribe, share, and follow. It helps the channel.